All right, welcome back to the Speak Truth Sports Podcast. I am Bert, as always, and today we're actually joined by a special guest. Introduce yourself, sir.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Tay. I found out through this podcast from one of my good friends told me about this podcast, so I figured I'd come out, show up, get some knowledge back to the people.
He's a big NFL head, so we had to bring him on here to talk about the draft, and that's what we're talking about today. We went on a little bit of a hiatus earlier. Speak Truth Sports did in general. We were focusing on school and other stuff, but my finals are over. Trey's finals are over next week, so he'll also be back next week. But yeah, so let's just jump right into everything. All right, we're here talking about winners and losers of the NFL draft. Tay, why don't you start off and just go ahead and name your winner? Who's your number one winner of the draft?
All right, so my number one winner, I'm gonna go with this Los Angeles Chargers. I'm gonna say they had the probably the best draft all around. They went number one, first round with Rashawn Slater, best tackle in the draft easily. They went second round, Sante Samuel Jr. filled the need in DB when they lost Casey Hayward, one of the best rookie corners in the draft. Surprised he fell to the second round anyway. So it's kind of a steal a little bit, mid second round pick. Then they went third round with another receiver, which is a little surprising to me, knowing they got Guyton, Allen, Mike Williams. They got some other guys there too, but you never know. Things could pan out. He might jump ahead of Guyton. He might not. They went and got Trey McKitty from Georgia, tight end. Big Phil after losing Hunter Henry, which is a big loss for them. So hopefully McKitty can come in, at least give him something close to what Hunter Henry was given. It's kind of hard to replace a Pro Bowl tight end, probably one of the best tight ends in the league. So, you know.
Yeah.
But then they went and got an edge rusher, Chris Rumph from Duke, who's okay. He's not the best, but I mean, grab him in the fourth round. He might do some damage. Hopefully, maybe they can get Melvin Ingram back. If so, then maybe they could move Ingram to defensive tackle. He's not pretty bad there, so they could probably work with that. I see they picked up another tackle, Brendan. I think his last name is James. I might be mispronouncing, from Nebraska. I know a little bit about him. Nothing crazy. I mean, he just seems like an average guy. Somebody who probably just somebody's injured, fill in, play his role, do enough to protect Herbert. They went and got a linebacker, Nick Neiman from Iowa. I remember hearing about him when he was younger. I didn't hear much about him after that. Maybe because Iowa football kind of went down a little bit after his freshman sophomore year. I remember freshman sophomore year, Iowa was pretty good. They were maybe top 25 area, not last year, but things happen. Larry Roundtree the third from Missouri. Okay, so I'm a dynasty guy, so I do fantasy dynasty, so I know about this guy a little bit. I was probably looking to pick him up in my dynasty draft for rookies, late, probably fourth, fifth round dynasty draft. He's a good back, I would say, but there were just so many better backs in this draft, so he kind of fell towards the sixth round. But I think he's pretty good. He's versatile a little bit. Not the fastest, but he's able to catch out the backfield, do some power runs every now and then. So, just a little filling guy in case Josh Kelly doesn't perform this year.
Yep.
Then they have Eckler, who's obviously the starter, and then they went and got it.
I could see him as like a future, second running
Yeah.
back. Probably, I don't think he's gonna be a main guy, but he's a good
third down back. Type of guy like that. So he looked pretty good. Mark Webb, that's their last pick from Georgia, DB. He was just the guy at Georgia, kind of average, not the best, but he's pretty good, pretty solid corner. I would say he's just kind of like you pick what you get towards the end of the draft type of guy, just depth. So, but I think all around they had the best draft. They filled a lot of needs, got depth in a lot of positions. So that's my pick.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The Chargers are definitely one of the best drafts in the entire NFL. Rashawn Slater alone just really made their draft. I mean, last year the LA Chargers they're ranked 32nd in offensive line. They had the worst offensive line, and Herbert was still killing it. So if you just give him some type of line, I think he'll probably do even better. And they're really buying into Herbert. They're building around him now with all these picks. And Asante Samuel was just too good to pass up. I mean, he was projected possibly as end of first round talent, and he fell all the way to 47. I'd say that's definitely a steal. The rest of these guys, they're kind of, a lot of them are depth, a lot of them are just to help them fill in certain positions. And yeah, I
Yeah, definitely.
agree. I think they did really, really good. Um, I want to mention a couple other teams before I bring up my winner. I think the Cowboys did really good. The Cowboys, just with their first round alone, just the fact that they had their pick with Micah Parsons, they were probably going to take
Yeah.
him, and then they got offered a trade for an extra third rounder and moved back, and they still got Micah Parsons. That's an absolute steal for me.
Hmm?
I think the Bears did a really good job finally getting a good quarterback. I'm not so sure about how they said, Andy Dalton's still going to be the number one. But
That was a little wild, but
yeah,
we'll get to that.
yeah. Yeah, I think those two teams are really good. I think the Patriots actually did pretty solid as well, because they got in my opinion, one of the biggest deals in the draft. But we'll talk about that later as well. But finally, coming back to my winner, look, I had to do it. Baltimore Ravens. They had an amazing draft. All right, they got Rashad Bateman, who fills in so much of what they need from the wide receiver position. They need a guy like Bateman who's really good at route running. He's very crisp. He's got very good hands, and he's just really good at creating separation. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Adam Thielen in a sense, where
Yeah.
you put him on a slant, he'll get separation, and that's exactly the kind of guy Lamar needs. Just someone he can throw a few dump off passes to, who could probably take it even further, get some yards after your catch or whatever. And I think I was surprised that he went at 27. I thought they might have waited a little longer to pick him up, but the Packers probably might have snatched him if they
Yeah.
didn't. So that's a great pick there. And then one of my favorite picks ever in this draft is Jason Owe. He actually changed his name, or he wants to be referred to as Odafe Owe now. But he is a linebacker out of Penn State who is a monster. He
Yeah.
didn't.
Phenom, physical, athletic freak.
He's 6'5". He's 250. He has, I believe, a 40-inch vertical, and he runs a 4.39. Like that is monstrous. Those are numbers that you would see in maybe in the top 5% of
Yeah.
edge
Freak
rushers.
athlete, literally.
Freak athlete. He didn't. The reason he's kind of this far is because he didn't record a sack last year. And while that does kind of suck, if there's one team I trust to develop defensive talent, to develop his hands and all that, I
Definitely
think
the
it's the
Ravens.
Ravens. The Ravens are great at developing defensive talent in general. And I think Wink Martindale's really gonna like him. So he's also a good run blocker or run stopper. So round 3, 94th overall, they took Ben Cleveland, the guard out of Georgia. He is also a monster. He's 6'6". He's 340
Yeah.
pounds, and he's
Big
just,
boy.
his
Big
nickname is
boy.
Big Country. If you look at his Instagram, it's all just it's the most country. He's the most country dude ever. He shoots he shoots guns. He kills deer and all that. He's just like he's big country. Like he lives up to his name, and he isn't. He's not the craziest athlete, but he's a really solid blocker. And man, like this move, if he ends up starting, they could actually put Bradley Bozeman back to center. And Makari had some snap issues towards the end. So if that keeps up, I think that's actually probably going to happen. I think they might end up going ahead and doing that. And overall, just, the Ravens were really loving this guy. The pick went in like immediately when they were on the board. So I really like that pick. Brandon Stevens, the DB out of SMU, I think he's solid. I'm not sure. I was a little confused that he went this high. I think he probably could have been a 4th round pick, but at the same time, they really like him and they think that he could actually play free safety. So if that's kind of the direction they're trying to push him in, I think he'd be pretty good. He's pretty good in coverage. And yeah, Tylan Wallace in round 4, 131 overall. That was I was really surprised he was still there when they picked him up. I thought
Yeah.
it was a no-brainer at that point.
That was I can't believe he fell to round 4. I mean, I was thinking he's gonna be a day 2 guy, maybe day 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just, I was expecting day 3 at most, like, maybe the top of round 4 or something, but he fell a lot. And
Yeah.
he also, he's only 5'11", but he plays really big. He plays bigger than he is.
Yeah.
He could kind of be a nice backup to Rashad Bateman in a sense. And also what I forgot to mention about Bateman is that the Ravens, they really need somebody in the slot or outside, and he can do both. So Bateman is actually really good at going outside, and he's good in the slot. Then they got Shaun Wade, round 5, 160 overall. This is, in my opinion, a massive steal. This guy, if you remember last year, he was projected maybe to go first or second round. But
I remember these guys, yeah.
Yeah, but what happened was Ohio State moved him out to outside corner when he was playing inside, and he kind of struggled there. And so his stock fell like crazy. But at the same time, the Ravens have really good outside corners. They have Marcus Peters, they got Marlon Humphrey. Picking up Shaun Wade to play inside, Tavon Young usually gets injured a lot, and so if he goes down, Shaun Wade slips right in there. I think that's a steal. It's a first round type of talent, second round type of talent.
You got a second round talent in the 5th round. I mean, you can't complain. One of the best slot DBs in the draft. So I mean, you put him in the slot, let him play corner, let him play nickel. Oh man, he might do some damage.
Yeah, I don't know how he really fell that far. Round 5, they picked up Dalen Hayes. He's pretty decent. He had decent production in college. I heard he's a really good team captain. Like, he's a vocal leader type of guy. And I'd say this is a very solid pick for the Ravens here. They need edge rushers. They picked up a couple here, and I think they did a pretty good job there. And their last pick was Ben Mason, who's a tight end / fullback. I mean, hey, if Patrick Ricard can bring up the next version of him, I'd love that. So I think the Ravens just had an incredible draft, full of picks that were just end up being steals, in my opinion.
Might I say, they got 2 edge rushers after losing Matthew Judon. Both guys could probably come in. I think it's Odafe. I think that's his new name. He could probably play first year. I see him playing first year, and I see them producing him. He's going to be their project, and I see him being, man, he's going to be a problem. Once they get his hands right, he gets more work with his hands. Some more, dominant moves, bull rush moves. Oh man, this sky the limit. High ceiling,
that's
high ceiling
needs.
guy. High ceiling
that's
guy.
All he needs.
I'm telling you,
He
high ceiling guy.
Yeah, that's all. That's all he needs. Just some hand moves and a little bit of footwork, and he could. In my opinion, I'm putting a little bit of a hot take right here. I think he's going to be a top 10 pass rusher in the next 2 years. Sometime in the next 2 years.
With already with his athleticism, he's already like in a high percentile already with the athleticism. You give him some moves, footwork, bull rush moves, some speed moves, work some moves with his hands. Oh man.
And this is Penn State. This is the linebacker factory.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna take a linebacker anywhere, take him out of Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more winners you want to throw out there just to mention, or
should it's crazy. Actually, the Ravens were my second pick for a steal.
The Chargers were my second.
Also had down the Browns. The Browns had a really good draft, and people kind of slept on their draft, but they had a really, really good draft. I think the biggest thing with them is taking Jock in the second round. Man, I mean,
we'll talk about him. We'll talk about him in a little bit. As a Ravens fan, I hate to admit it, but the Browns had a really good draft.
Yeah, they had a really good draft, man, and makes it even worse. There's the draft in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so the fans are going nuts.
Yeah, Jacoby Jones was up on stage and they were booing him, and he was like, well, I got a ring. That was a great moment. All right, let's move on to some losers. I'll let you go first because I know this hits a little close to home for you. So you can go ahead and go on your little rant if you want to.
Okay. Losers. I hate to say it. Raider Nation. Y'all let me down, man. Listen, man. Okay. Let's just go over. Let's just go over the draft. First round, you take Alex Leatherwood. Okay, I get it. We needed a tackle. We lost Trent Brown. We gave up our whole line, so we needed to rebuild it. You want to go line first round? Okay, I get it. But I mean, man, you got guys like Owusu. You got guys like Owe on the board. You got so many guys on the board at 17, and you take a guy who probably, personally, I think he would have been there day 2. coming out in the media, they say he's not going to be there. I don't know. I think you could have took him day 2, day 3, but to each his own. Going on to the second round, my favorite pick of the draft, number 1 safety in the draft, which I'm really happy about. They went and took Trayvon Moehrig, best safety, number 1 safety, freaking crazy ball hawk, run support. The guy's all around. He's like all around talent. I think I'm gonna go hot take because it's my team. I say give him 2-3 years. He'll be one of those guys at safety that the NFL will be talking about. Getting a big contract after his rookie contract.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be up there.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know how he fell that far either. I just I guess teams are they just overlook him because they need to have some other needs. But there were some teams that really needed a safety that just drafted other safeties. I didn't really understand it.
So I mean, to speak on that, he had a back injury coming into the draft, which scared a lot of teams because they weren't really sure when he's going to heal. Come to find out, he's going to be ready before rookie camp. So they said he'll be fully healthy in a couple of weeks. So I'm happy for that. Glad to hear it.
Yeah. That happens a lot sometimes. Where sometimes the medical is overblown on a player. Where they're actually it's not that big of an issue, and teams are overrating it, and then they're going crazy, and they're letting them slide all the way like this. The Raiders they did get a big steal here.
So going on to the 3rd round pick and Malcolm Kuntz. Okay, this is kind of 50-50. We went and reached, I think it was 2 years ago, on Clelin Ferrell. Took him at number 4 overall, which is the biggest mistake I think we made since we've had Mike Mayock there. Kuntz is like, he's just a depth guy, I guess you could say. Not really a crazy prospect coming out of college. He went to Buffalo. It's not a big school. He's not really talked about. Speaking on Buffalo, the last time we got a guy out of Buffalo, Khalil Mack. I'm not saying he's Khalil Mack. I'm saying, they got a good relationship with Buffalo. That's why they took him. He's an edge rusher coming out of there, but it's all right. They went and took another safety on day 3. This was really confusing to me because, we just signed Carl Joseph. We have Abram. We got Heath. You draft Moehrig in the 2nd round. Come on, pick some more linemen. Get another guard. Maybe, but they got faith in Incognito. He's old, but he's just a veteran guy. I think they just like. Divine Diablo. Listen, I saw some tape on the guy. He's good. Don't get me wrong. The guy is good. He's a good pick in the 3rd round. But it's just not what we needed. It's just something they're trying to overkill in the safety position because we struggled with it last year. Come on. You can't draft 3. Speaking on the 3rd one, going next round, 4th round, Tyree Gillespie. Personally, I think they drafted him to play nickel. He plays safety, but he's a good coverage guy, good run support guy. But playing at safety, he probably won't end up being there. I see him being better in the nickel area. But who knows? Maybe a practice squad guy, just depth. But we'll see how it goes. 5th round, they took Nate Hobbs. I guess at this point they kind of took what they could get. He's just a guy. He's not the best, but he's decent size, length, a little lanky. He's just very slim though. Kind of a little undersized. Not how the most DBs are. Most DBs now kind of like 5'10", 205 area. This guy's I think he's 6 foot something, like 185, 190. So he's kind of like a Slim Reaper kind of guy. So we'll see how it is. And then 7th round. Personally, I like this pick, Jimmy Morrissey. He's our Cinderella guy. Walk-on guy. Was the number 1 walk-on guy in college football. Ended up being a team captain for Pittsburgh. So he was a pretty good guy there. Pretty good blocker. Pass blocking. He's really good in pass blocking. Probably get a little bit of work in run blocking, but I think main thing they got him for was pass blocking. They need somebody to help protect Derek Carr because, man, I'm tired of seeing my quarterback get killed, for the love of God. Oh man.
You know what? I'm kind of surprised. That the Raiders didn't pick up a quarterback.
Okay.
I thought they might have looked for one of those late round, maybe Kyle Trask, maybe a Kellen Mond. I thought they might have taken a quarterback or something.
I'm thinking they're gonna wait for next year.
Mm-hmm.
Based on how we do this year, see what kind of draft pick we get. I love Derek Carr, so I'm not going to say that we should have took one this year.
Yeah.
I'm a big Derek Carr fan. I mean, I think he's a very underrated quarterback in the league. People kind of, just he looks over him because he plays for the Raiders. I mean, what can you say? But I mean, I think the guy threw 4,000 yards last year, double-digit touchdowns, single-digit interceptions. I think he had 60% completion rating. So I mean, you can't ask much for a guy that plays for the Raiders. He doesn't have many weapons. I mean, when you're doing that, when you pretty much only throwing the ball to Darren Waller, I mean, he's doing something nice. So I can't complain.
Mm-hmm. And another big guy you guys passed on in the first round, I believe, is Christian Darrisaw.
Christian Darrisaw.
I was reading after the draft. Apparently, John Gruden was scared. John Gruden and Mike Mayock, they were scared that someone they had a trade on the table to trade back, but they were scared that team was going to take Alex Leatherwood, which is like I don't know. I think that team would have taken Darrisaw, right?
When I heard that, I took my jersey off. I threw it across the room. I couldn't believe it. You're telling me you don't want to trade back because you think somebody's going to take Alex Leatherwood? Nobody's worried about Alex Leatherwood. They're worried about the Tevin Jenkins, the Christian Darrisaw, the guys like that. They're not worried about Leatherwood, man. Come on.
I would have thought, if anybody trades up, I would have thought it would have been for Darrisaw, and he was a massive steal for the Vikings. I was really surprised. But the Raiders just had, they had a bad day one. They had a pretty decent day two, but their day three was just not great. But I do think another team is, has been just as bad as that. I'm going to go with it. I see a lot of people starting to come around to all these picks, but I don't know, man. I think the Seahawks did not do a great job. Their first pick was round 2, 56 overall. They took Dwayne Eskridge, which is, I don't hate the guy. I don't hate the fit at all. Actually, I think the fit's pretty good on offense. But you got so many needs for your defense and for your offensive line, which is just a mess right now. And just to not invest in that and instead invest in a wide receiver, when at the end of last year, Pete Carroll said he insinuated he kind of wants to get back to running the ball more. What will help with that?
Get some big guys up front.
Yep.
Get some big guys up front.
At the end of the day, the battle is won in the trenches. If you don't have a line, you're probably not going to go anywhere. Look at all the past Super Bowl teams. They've all had good offensive lines. You can't make it that far with a bad line. Mm-hmm. So in my opinion, this is kind of a commitment to mediocrity for me, for the Seahawks. This is a commitment to the only way they can really improve right now is through the draft, because they don't have much cap space. And they're getting guys like Dwayne Eskridge instead of another tackle or a guard or somebody. They need offensive line help, and they're still picking guys like on the offensive side of the ball that aren't linemen. I did like their second pick. It was round 4, 137 overall, Trey Brown out of Oklahoma. He's a cornerback. And they desperately need cornerbacks.
Oh yeah,
it's not a strength for them still, but this definitely helps them a little bit for sure. And then they had one more pick, which was round 6, 208 overall, Stone Forsyth, which is that's where they took their tackle, round 6. I don't hate him here. I think he's actually pretty decent, but I'm not sure how well he's going to be right off the bat. I'm not sure how long it'll take for him to get to a starter position, if he even gets there, because he's a round 6 pick right now. At this, you gotta take, if you want to tackle on your starting lineup, you gotta take him round 1 through 3. Those are the rounds you gotta take a starting tackle.
Absolutely.
And to take one this late, it kind of just feels like, look, we drafted a tackle. Look,
they're just trying to make the fans a little happy. Like, hey, listen, don't hate us.
Yeah,
we got a little something that you guys like, but we wanted to fill our needs too.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, like you said, second round, you don't take a tackle, you go with a receiver. You already got you got speed guys. What do you need another? You don't need another deep threat. You have your Lockett, you have your DK Metcalf, you have other guys that you just fill in, that just come in and do the job. So you picking up Dwayne Eskridge in the second round. I mean, like you said, they're committing to just being we'll make it to the playoffs, but we won't get over that hump.
Yeah.
This draft, Granted, they had limited picks. They had 3 picks. You should have went straight defense, O-line immediately.
Yeah.
Two linemen, and a DB would have been perfect for them. They probably would have had a B+, B minus, B+ draft grade with that. But
Well, I kind of want to compare them to the Cowboys because I think the Cowboys, like I said, I think they did pretty good, and they drafted defense, like straight defense, for like the first 5 picks or first 6 picks or something like that. So, they committed to their defense. They wanted to get better on defense. That was their weakness. Their offense was totally fine. It was just they were getting completely outscored, and they're like, okay, so let's get defensive players then. We don't need another wide receiver. Dak is good. We don't need. We might need some linemen, so maybe we'll pick one up later. But the Cowboys committed to we want to win games, so they picked up defensive players. The Seahawks committed to we want to look flashy. We want to have fun in our offense. That's kind of what I feel like they committed to. Which just
what's
really
crazy?
sucks. I feel bad for Russell Wilson.
What's crazy is that they want to look flashy, but the thing is, they still run the ball a lot. So I mean, you going around picking Dwayne Eskridge, and you're picking up guys. You drafted Metcalf. Okay, we get it. You can't pass up on a guy like Metcalf. Well, then you draft Dwayne Eskridge this year. I mean, great. You guys don't really throw the ball that much anyway. A lot of your fans complain about that you guys don't really throw the ball enough because you guys love to pound the ball with Chris Carson. You love to pound the ball with Rashad Penny. You guys fill in guys, and you guys just pound and getting 15, 20 carries a game. So I mean, come on. I mean, if you guys really want to run the ball, like you said, go invest in them trenches, man. Get them big boys lined up there. Get some run blocking better, But hey, Pete Carroll. That's all you can say. It's Pete Carroll.
Another team I want to bring up that I don't think did a great job. You can't talk about losers in this draft without talking about the Houston Texans. Davis Mills at round 3. Yeah, they didn't even have a first or second round pick because of Laramie Tunsil, that trade.
Yeah.
Which was not, they overpaid the heck out of him.
Oh yeah.
And their first pick was Davis Mills, QB out of Stanford. He's all right. I think this kind of confirms, Deshaun Watson's not going to be back with all the drama he's been through.
Yeah.
And Davis Mills, I don't hate. I think he could be an average, maybe an average starter. I think that's kind of his ceiling, just an average quarterback starter. But he's going to struggle behind this line because all they have is Tunsil. That's basically all they have.
That's all they got.
And once again, this team didn't address their line at all throughout the entire draft. The next pick was a wide receiver. They don't need him at all. I mean, they're just like the Seahawks. They kind of want to look flat. They just kind of want to look flashy and sell some tickets. They're not worried about winning right now. Nico Collins, he's actually, I think he's actually a pretty decent wide receiver. I think he has some potential, but I know they just lost Will Fuller, but I mean, I don't know.
Nah, man, not the time to get a receiver.
Yeah, and Davis Mills isn't super mobile, so he's probably gonna get sacked a lot, and you're kind of not putting him in a position to succeed at all, even with a good wide receiver. Brevin Jordan they took next, tight end out of Miami. I don't hate it. I think there might have been a couple better tight ends on the board, but at the same time, he's a good pass catcher. I'm not sure about his blocking. So once again, they're not helping their quarterbacks at all.
No.
And, round 5, they actually traded for this pick, I believe. They took Garrett Wallow, linebacker out of TCU. It's all right. They do need to build in their defense. They have holes basically all up and down the roster. But the biggest issue I had, they also took their last pick was Roy Lopez, defensive tackle of Arizona. My biggest issue with them is just that they're not, they're clearly rebuilding and they're clearly trying to start over, but they're not taking any of the foundational pieces that you need in a rebuild. You need to start building through your line, start building through your tackles, and then a corner. Wide receivers is kind of is very important. But it's lower on the list of things you need. Quarterback's obviously a very big need, but I'm not sure about Davis Mills in the round 3. They're probably going to spend another pick on a quarterback next year. So, I'm not sure if this will even do anything when they could have gotten a nice tackle here to help a quarterback next year.
I mean, come on, let's be real. Davis Mills, it's looking like another David Carr 2.0. I don't want to be cruel, but I mean, sometimes you got to be honest. It's looking like David Carr 2.0. You get a quarterback that's not mobile, no line, nobody to protect them. I mean, this guy's gonna get sacked 1,000 times. He's gonna get killed. He's not gonna last. You're gonna get this guy killed. You're gonna ruin his career. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, honestly. I really do.
Honestly, I just feel bad for anybody the Texans draft right now until they can
Yeah,
get,
man.
until they can get a plan. It feels like they don't have a plan for how to rebuild. They're just kind of like, oh, we'll take this guy. We'll take this guy. I
Yeah,
feel like they
man.
don't have a plan. They need to sit down and get a plan.
I think once Deshaun gets over this, all the scandals and all the stuff like that, they got to sit down with him. They got to talk to the quarterback. The guy knows what they need. You want this guy to be your franchise quarterback. Hopefully, we'll see how it goes after all this news comes about. He might not be there. He might be there. But I mean, if they end up keeping this guy, you want this guy to be a franchise quarterback. You got to talk to him and ask him what he needs. He's going to be honest with you. He's not going to tell you, "Oh, I want more receivers." He's going to say, "Hey, give me some big guys. Give me some guys to block for me so I can, get some more time in the pocket so I'm not running for my life all game." Granted, Deshaun is mobile, so he's capable of running around, improvising a little bit. But then, you pick a guy like Davis Mills. He's nowhere to the athleticism as Deshaun Watson, so he's not going to be doing the same.
And I think they really messed up not trading Deshaun Watson earlier before all this drama. Because if they
Mm-hmm.
had, they would have gotten a king's ransom. They would have gotten I'd say probably 3 firsts, a few seconds. They would have had a crazy big deal. But now with all this stuff coming out, his value actually might drop.
Yeah.
If it goes the wrong way, his value might drop and then he might be worthless. They might have to straight up cut him. That's how bad
Yeah.
it could get. And they wanted to hold on to Watson so bad for so long just because he sells, in my opinion, just because he sells tickets. Texans fans, if I'm a Texans fan, I have no reason to go watch a game with Hopkins gone unless it's just for Deshaun Watson. I just want to see what he
Yeah.
does.
I would say, man, it's a tricky situation. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, but I mean, you gotta see what goes on and see how
Yeah.
everything unfolds. So just a
Yeah, we
matter
gotta
of
wait for
time.
it to play out. We'll let the courts do their thing. We'll do ours. But let's go ahead and talk about some of the steals, some of your favorite steals from this draft, because I think there were a lot of steals in this draft. Do you want to go ahead and kick it off? Who's your number one steal?
Okay, so my number one, Jeremiah Owusu Koromoa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this guy is a freak. I mean, you look at the numbers. This guy, 6'2", 215. The guy's a phenom. You see what he does on the field. Buckets Award winner, ACC Defensive Player of the Year, unanimous All American, first team All ACC. I mean, coming in, I thought this guy was the best linebacker in the draft. But I guess some teams know more than we do. The guy falls to the second round to the Cleveland Browns, and they pick up another steal once again. I mean, bravo to the Cleveland Browns. You picked probably the best linebacker in the draft, who might end up being, I say in the future, 3, maybe 3, 4 years. The guy might end up being one of these top linebackers we're talking about, these athletic linebackers like a Patrick Queen, guy on the Ravens. The guy came in first year, phenomenal. Because he's so athletic, he can move so far in the box. He can go from left to right in the box, east west. I mean, he can do it all. Another big steal to me is Tevin Jenkins to the Browns in the
Yeah,
second round. Man, you got probably the second, not maybe top three tackle in the draft. You get him at 39. I mean, you can't complain. You get a guy that can protect Justin Fields. So they know what they're doing. They got a plan in motion. Terrace Marshall, another big steal that I like. I wanted the Raiders to draft him because I wanted us to get, a possession receiver, a big target for us to get the guy. I mean, you get a 6'3", 200-pound receiver that runs a 4.3. You can't pass on that. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. Great hands, great route running. Came out of that amazing offense with Joe Brady. And, make it even crazier. Joe Brady gets his guy back in Carolina. So he gets one of his guys back from that awesome offense at LSU that he had with Joe Burrow, Chase, Jefferson. Then he had who's that running back? Edwards-Helaire. So I mean, you get a guy like that going to Carolina with Sam Darnold, give him some weapons. Carolina might be a problem.
yeah, and a lot of teams are worried about his injury stuff. Sometimes I think a lot of that stuff is sometimes overblown. I believe I believe JOK. A report just came out recently, didn't it, that he might have some heart issues. That's why he fell so low, so low.
Yeah.
But the thing is that um, Montez Sweat had a similar heart issue that teams were hesitant to take him on. He ended up falling to Washington, and now he's one of their key pieces on their defense. Him and Chase Young are probably the best pass rushing duo in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctors have cleared him, so it's not like he's that serious. It's not like he's that serious risk to die or anything like that. And he's a really really solid player. Terrence Marshall, he's just been injured a lot, so people are a little worried about how he's going to progress to the pros. I think he'll be okay. I'm not like super duper high on him. I do like him though. I thought the Ravens might have actually gone in that direction and trying to pick up him, but I'm happy with Bateman. Couple steals for me. I think Christian Darrisaw is a big steal at 23, even though it's
Oh
only the
yeah.
23. I mean, I think he should have been selected in the teens, at the very least. And Minnesota actually considered drafting him at 14. They were considering drafting Justin Fields or Darrisaw, but they got a deal to move back, and they're like, okay, there's some other tackles we can get. It's pretty deep. It's a pretty deep draft for tackles, so they moved back, and they still got him. That's just one of those. It's one of those things that just like the Cowboys, they move back and they still got their guy.
Mm-hmm.
And Vikings got a couple extra picks that they used on some other guys as well. I think that's just a great pick there. Another person I think was a big steal was Christian Barmore.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
he's the best interior pass rusher in the draft, and he's really good at attacking the quarterback and pressuring the quarterback from inside the line. And apparently, the reason why he fell in the draft it was because they're kind of worried about his off the court issues. Apparently, these are some quotes from an article I pulled up a little while ago. Uh, but apparently, quote, Alabama barely held him together. And as a pro, he's a real wild card. Somebody else, another scout was saying getting to practice in class was a struggle for him. And Barmore has to be in a very tightly controlled environment to succeed, like Alabama. And look, if all that is true, he is
He's
in
in
a
the
tightly
perfect
controlled.
system.
Exactly, he's in the perfect spot. If that's true, the Patriots got a big steal right here. He's like I said, he's one of the best interior pass rushers, and a lot of these scouts were saying, he's probably going to be a big time bust. But hey, if the Patriot if what they're saying is true, I'm not sure. I don't know the guy, but if what they're saying is true, that he needs to be in a controlled environment, Belichick does that. That's exactly the type of team Belichick runs. And if he's going to be held accountable anywhere, it's going to be in Foxborough right there. So
I mean, to add to that, I mean, he's going to a powerhouse defense. They loaded up this year on defense. I mean, hey, I know it breaks your heart. They took Judon from you guys. I know.
yeah,
But I mean, you got a edge rusher. The biggest need for them was they didn't really have great interior guys. They just had edge guys, had good secondary, so it made up for it. But I mean, you get a guy like Christian Barmore. I mean, granted, everybody, some players have off-field issues, but I mean, like you said, you go to Foxborough, they're going to fix all that immediately. Belichick's a tight knit coach, tight knit program system. Everything is, it's one way and it's a Patriot way. Everybody knows that it's a
yeah.
Patriot way and it's one way. So I mean, he goes there, they get him right. This guy's going to be phenomenal.
Mhm. All right, and to round it out before we head out, who are some of your just favorite late round flyers that, or maybe day 2 or day 3 guys that you really like that you think could actually be really good?
Okay, I'm going to say it, and this is not even a Raiders guy. I'm going to go ahead and say that Michael Carter to the
Mm,
Jets, round 4, man. I mean, I saw him going day 3, but maybe third round, not even not even fourth round. I think fourth round is a little wild,
yeah,
but I mean, this guy, one of the best backs in the draft, was a crazy duo committee at North Carolina with Javonte Williams. And it's crazy. Sometimes this guy outplayed Javonte Williams. Javonte Williams went in the second round to Denver.
yeah,
So the Jets, bravo to them. They got a running back that they probably did need. I see him being a good third down back, and he's able to catch out of the backfield. So maybe they throw him some little halfback screens, some swings, some little angle routes here and there. I mean, the guy can make something shake, yards at the catch. I mean, great pickup for them. I'm rooting for him. Even though I'm a Raiders guy, this is a big guy that I'm rooting for.
Mm-hmm. I'm rooting for Kellen Mond. I'm going to be honest. I see a lot of like modern NFL talent potential in Kellen Mond if he can just kind of increase his accuracy. He just needs to approach Lamar in the offseason and ask him everything he did. Like, what did you do? If he does that, I think he'd actually end up being really good. I think he could end up replacing Kirk Cousins, when his contract is up. And funny enough about Kellen Mond, he had a tweet about Minnesota saying Minnesota is the worst city of all time or something like that. That came out right after. It was hilarious.
Karma. That's all it is.
Exactly.
Karma, man. Karma.
There might as well just need to be a separate person in the front office that just does background checks and everybody at this point.
Literally.
That's pretty hilarious. But yeah, I'm really rooting for Kellen Mond. I think he could actually end up being really solid in the future and could end up, taking over Kirk Cousins' role. And I'm not sure how far he'll go. I'm not sure how good he'll be, but I think he'll be I think one day he could be a solid starting quarterback in the league.
To add another player that I'm rooting for, just because he's undersized, he's a small guy like myself, I'm going Devontae Smith. The guy, 6 foot, 165. I know there's a problem with them saying, his size is not the best. He's very undersized. I mean, he's probably the smallest receiver prospect in weight at his height, I think, ever. I don't think there's ever been a guy at this size. But I mean, you look at the tape, the guy won the Heisman for a reason. The guy is phenomenal. Super aggressive. He plays above his weight. He plays like he's about 180, 185. He's really aggressive with his hands. The speed speaks for itself. Great hands. I mean, the guy's a playmaker. So, I mean, Philly, they got them, hopefully this guy can turn out to be a top tier receiver. And he's back with Jalen Hurts, a guy that, that was feeding him a lot. So, hopefully, that click, hopefully the thing is still there with them. And they won't need many reps to get back to where they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to add one more dude as well. He's actually undrafted, but Ardarius Washington. He's a safety, and he should have been drafted, in my opinion. He's undersized, and that's why he didn't get drafted, but he's really good in coverage. And he's in my opinion, he was actually, I'd say he's probably like a 4th round type of talent at the very least.
Yeah.
He signed with the Ravens actually, so I'm really happy about that. But yeah, I feel like he should have been drafted, even just with a 7th round flyer. You should, a guy with this kind of talent, you might as well take a shot at him, but nobody did. And the Ravens didn't have any picks after the 5th round, so I'm sure if they did, they probably would have taken him at 7 with their 7th. But yeah, I'm really rooting for him. Hard over height. It applies to football too. It definitely applies to football too.
Yeah. Another one. Speaking about an undrafted guy, I'm going with I think his name is Jamar Patterson, the running back out of Buffalo.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There's no way this guy should have been undrafted. The guy had, I think he broke the record for most touchdowns in the game in college last year. I think he had like 7 touchdowns in the game, right?
Yeah.
And he had, I think, almost 400 yards that game. So I think he had like 3, if I'm not mistaken, it was like around 340, 350. I mean, that's nuts. You're telling me you guys can't see that game and get enough film to say, okay, maybe this guy's 3rd, 4th round talent easily. But for him to go undrafted and then for the football team, I was about to say the Redskins, the football team to pick him up, I mean, that's a steal for them for an undrafted guy.
And what's cool about that is, he has potential to kind of be like the James Robinson of this year, in a sense where, Washington could also just use him as their bell cow back, and then they could have Antonio Gibson as a pass catching back because he's really good at pass catching. They have a lot of options there in Washington. I think I think it's a good spot for him as well. But yeah, those are most of the guys that. Oh, and Justin Fields. I don't know why Justin Fields fell so far. I feel like
that's crazy.
This entire quarterback class was just so debated, and everyone was saying so many different things. Some people were saying Trey Lance is the best in the entire draft. Some people were saying Justin Fields shouldn't even be drafted in the 1st round. Like, there's so many different opinions. I'm kind of confused why there's so many different takes on all these quarterbacks when, in my opinion, they went mostly in the order of how good they are, except for Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields probably should have gone 2nd. I mean, right after the season ended, everyone was like, oh, the Jets didn't get, Trevor Lawrence. Well, they got Justin Fields. He was the consensus 2nd pick. But for some reason, I don't know what specifically really happened. Maybe it was off the court things. But he doesn't really do anything bad off the court. A lot of teams just didn't like him. They just passed on him. And, the Vikings said they would have taken him at 14, which would have been crazy for them. But the Bears moved up and they took it instead. I'm rooting for him. I hope he does really good.
Yeah. Speak on Justin Fields. Personally, I think he's going to be the best quarterback in this draft class.
Mm.
This guy is my favorite quarterback in the class. I mean, you see what the guy did against Clemson. He ripped Clemson apart with broken ribs. I mean, the guy broke his ribs halfway through the game. He comes back in and he lights him up. I mean, how could you complain? Toughness, durability, obviously. The guy still slinging it. I think he threw for like 300 some yards that game with broken ribs. I mean, come on. You can't pass up on that. But teams, they saw Zach Wilson's pro day. They saw him throw that 65-yard bomb on the run. So, they fell in love with it. But then you see Justin Fields do the same thing and he doesn't get the same hype. So, like you said, I think some of these teams just didn't really like him for a reason. I don't know why. But yeah.
And as a player, like that's someone you want to play for. Like that's a dude that you would want to play for, a dude who had broken ribs and was still playing in the game so you guys could get the W. Like that's a leader in my opinion. He's a really strong dude. I'm hoping for the best for him. I hope he proves everybody wrong. He definitely has the potential to be the best quarterback in the class.
Yeah.
I think that's going to do it for this week's podcast. You have anything else to say?
I want to add a bust, just one bust, and I'm going to say my biggest bust. It's going to be Zach. It's going to be Zach Wilson.
Really?
Listen.
Really?
Zach Wilson. Okay, you go look at the guy's stats. Okay, the guy had really had 1 year, and it was his last year before he came out in the draft, and I think he was against top 25 teams. I think he was 0 for 2 or 0 for 3 against top 25 teams. I mean, you get a guy. He's going number 2. You expect him to have a good resume like a Justin Fields or a Trevor Lawrence, even a Trey Lance. This guy doesn't really have the resume for like these guys do, but they wanted to take him at 2. I guess they saw what they liked at his pro day. And I mean, but I'm just not a fan. I don't think he's ready yet. I don't think he's going to be what they expect him to be, and I don't think he's going to be any better than Darnold, honestly. But I guess they see something that we don't.
Yeah, it was so locked in at some point for some reason, but I'm not sure why the Jets decided to dump Sam Darnold and go for another quarterback. It just kind of feels like they're on a cycle of let's get a new quarterback, use him up for 4 years, destroy him, and send him to another team, get a new quarterback, destroy him. I did like that they ended up taking I believe they took a tackle in the second round, and I really like that pick because they're starting to build towards something. But they started to build a little too late. Sam Darnold could have been good. He was behind a really bad offensive line with barely any weapons, and he was still making crazy throws. He just looked really good. We'll see if they regret it while he's on the Panthers, because the Panthers have a lot of weapons. He has a lot of weapons to work with. And after this draft, they actually drafted another wide receiver, so he has even more weapons to work with. So we'll see what happens there. Zach Wilson, I don't hate him, but you're right. He only had one really good year, and he was beating up on a lot of bad teams. He didn't face many good teams, and when he did, he couldn't get the win. So, to me, that kind of profiles a guy as mid-first, maybe second or third. But, I guess they believe in him physically. They might believe in his potential. He is pretty mobile. He can get out of the pocket and, throw. He does have a good arm. But, the Jets, this might just be a Jets pick. This might very well just be like a Jets pick.
Yeah, literally
He's
just might be another Jets pick.
Probably my Yeah, I agree with you. He's probably one of my bust candidates as well. Mac Jones. Wait, how do you feel about Mac Jones? I do want to get to that.
Okay. I don't hate him, but I think, his numbers look great because he's throwing it to Devontae Smith, John Mechie, Jalen Waddle. He's throwing to these top tier guys. I mean, when you're throwing to guys who are winning Heisman and just outstanding receivers like that, I mean, you're going to look good. It makes it easier for you to look good. So, I think New England is a perfect place for him, though. I think if he went anywhere else, he wouldn't have been that great. But I think him going to New England, that's probably the best thing that could have happened to him in the draft. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think New England's a perfect place for him. A lot of people are comparing him to Tom Brady. I don't want to do that at all. I don't think I'm not sure if he has the confidence of Tom Brady. If you saw him walk to the, did you see him walk
yeah,
to the draft room or
it's
whatever?
nothing like it.
Uh, I wish the best for him. Yeah, yeah. I wish the best for him. I want to see what happens when the game starts. I want to see how intense he is when a game starts. I'm not sure if he's ready to lead a team just yet. I'm pretty sure they're going to stick with Cam Newton as a starter, let him sit a year behind him and kind of learn. But yeah, Mac Jones, he definitely has potential with Belichick to be better than what he could have been if he went to the Niners, in my opinion. So yeah, he's also kind of a boomer bust guy. And so is Caleb Farley. He's dealt with a lot of injuries. If he keeps getting injured, he's probably, that's going to be a bust. But if he stays healthy, I think the Titans actually could have really gotten a really good player there. So yeah, those are the bust candidates. But yeah, with that, thank you for watching, tuning into another episode of the Speak Truth Sports Podcast. We'll be back next week. And if we're not, the week after. I've been Bert, and I've been joined by.
Oh, Tay, I appreciate you for having me. This is an honor. I've been wanting to do a podcast for a long time, so this is great. I love it.
Yeah, we can have you on some more. We'll talk about all that. Do you have anything you want to plug?
Everybody, you can go follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is TayR4L. I post pictures. You might see me post some stuff about NBA, NFL, my story every now and then. So just go ahead and enjoy.
He's an entertaining guy. You should go give him a follow. But all right, we will see you guys next time on the Speak to the Sports Podcast. Thank you.
See you guys later.